we are with technology, it's also removed us from having to have a human connection. And that's not a nice fault. I'm glad to be home.
We went to a more reflective place, a different kind of place, to be closer to nature and to go deep into our interiors in order to maybe release some kind of tacit energy. Or did we? I don't know. We travelled, we journeyed, we went from here to there, we went from outside to inside, even though we were outside. We went from normal to nature. But were we just moving, or were we actually travelling? Or maybe we were being moved by the journey itself, or maybe we were being journeyed upon. Or were we carried towards perception and interpretation coming from the fluid that is shared knowledge? But I didn't do any sketching this week, not on paper, but I'm sure I went through the process of sketching with my camera and with the people. I made a few films, and they built incrementally from one another. I can't show them all here and now. There's hours of footage, but the essence that I want to imbue you with hinges around our shared journey. It's our shared takings, leavings, and giftings, and how the fluidity of meaning echoed in the fluidity of the environment and the water that we were riding upon here, is how a community like ours creates value, not just from across boundaries, but from the differences that define those boundaries. Each person in the room, if each person in the room were to define nature, we'd sure to have a multi-dimensional gamut of understanding. If we were all to try and understand our personal knowing of what spirituality is, then there would be commonalities for sure, but there'd be contrasts that encompassed everything. The waves that you can see, the nature sketched on the digital canvas, a canvas that can't be touched, led down a fluid path of unknowing for all of us. Maybe it was a river roaring with white noise. Maybe it was the river that I, Dean, Stuart, and James took us there, sat beside in silence one night. Within that white noise is data encoded, natural data, or the data of nature. The meaning encoded inside nature, the essence of that is more of what is more reflective and different. Maybe that's encoded in a carrier signal, and that carrier signal is the white noise of the river. Rob said on Thursday night, the signal needs to be noisy for the redundancy required for mass transmission, also known as bristliness. The trailing edge of this construct I'm trying to tease out here, the one that emerged in my mind, it stems directly from the artifact that's now being projected here. It is that we're on a continuum, we're inside another gamut, we're everywhere. And if that's the case, if that's true, then on our travel closer to nature, we were in fact turning the mirror round to reflect inwards, rather than outwards, as it does normally. I don't actually buy into the getting back to nature thing. That, for me, conjures an image of an undomesticated nature, a concept which in itself seems inorganic and therefore unnatural, so it's a kind of a paradox in there. But it does bring into focus our own lack of domestication in some way. We inhabit a designed world. It's balanced and slippy. A carefully constructed narrative will touch all parties, said Andy Darby. So nature is a narrative. Technology is the study of embodied knowledge. Craft techniques and objects are containers, said Ben Wone, so technology is knowing. This is the most spiritual I've been all week, but I don't believe in spirit, said me in yesterday's campfire session with Joe. So for me, spirituality is obviously paradoxical, otherwise I couldn't say that. So my artifact is a construct. It's a construct that's circular and one that's inspired, if not yet communicated, by the images you see here. Meaning in the environment encoded by a sketch of bits exposed through electromagnetism, passing through the organic computer of self and returning back to meaning. So that's the circle completed. So what's the point? The point is that it is all open to interpretation and negotiation. The point is that dialogue is key. The point is that our deep dive experience is a facilitator of dialogue. For me, that dialogue was between myself, you, the camera, and the camera's quarry. For each one of us, though, the nature of the dialogue was different. The commonality across all of these dialogues was the environment and the situation that inspired them. Remember, the beauty that you saw this week is entirely free in all senses of the word. Remember that it's everywhere. Remember that you're everywhere. Remember the space inside yourself is a deep well. This week you had to go pretty deep inside that well, as deep as you dared. But you can do that alone. If you can work with that depth of self, then you have an invaluable skill. If you need reminding how to do it, then remember these images, remember your artifacts, remember your brown boxes and their contents. Remember those emotions, remember the energy of yesterday, and remember Gordon's inspirational words from this morning. Remember to remember, and remember each other.